Welcome to this very special series brought to you by Straight to the Source and Food South Australia, with support from the Department of Trade and Investment.
We're coming to you today from the traditional lands of the Kaurna people, and we'd like to begin by paying our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and we extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today.
We've taken our studio on the road to Adelaide, where we're catching up with 10 exciting producers from regions across South Australia to find out what puts them at the forefront of creativity and innovation in food production.
It's been really fantastic to spend time in South Australia over the last few days. It's really reinforced the diversity that's on offer here and the outstanding quality across the board.
You can feel the connection and collaboration between producers, and it's really wonderful because it makes them so much stronger together.
Yeah, we've had and heard some fantastic conversations with producers over the last few days, and we're really looking forward to sharing their stories with you.
And it's been mighty delicious. Let's get started. So this is an open conversation, and I'm going to start it by saying, welcome, Angus, for coming on to the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And I'm really excited because we've had these chats back and forth with regards to your Low and Slow brand.
Yes. And
I'd like you to tell us about your company, but also your background and your product range.
Okay, sure. Low and Slow American Barbecue is a company that is essentially based around our restaurant in Port Adelaide, South Australia. We are an American-style barbecue restaurant, quite small, but we've got lots of personality and lots of attitude, I guess. And previous to that, we began as a food truck or a food caravan, sort of inspired by my partner and I's travels throughout the southern United States, just sort of seeing that sort of low, slow smoking style of cooking that we were unfamiliar with.
How long were you traveling in the States?
I first went when I was freshly 21. And I was there for probably 2.5 to 3 months. And then after that trip, a few more throughout the sort of early to mid-20s. My partner, who's also named Angus, we...
Convenient.
Yeah, it is. We'd just never seen anything like it before. The offset smokers and, they're quite big and confronting, but also very intriguing, cooking the fire and the smoke and the smell.
It's very ceremonial, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It very is. It's got all that in it. And we were just sort of thinking about, imagine if people at home could see this, because Australians love, cooking outdoors. They love their barbecues. But we were just sort of thinking, why is the best thing that we can get our hands on is some sort of overcooked burnt sausage and maybe a lamb chop or something like that. We were sort of thinking, why are we deprived of this at home? We were very, very excited by that food.
Are you a chef by trade?
No. So I was working back in my sort of late teens, early 20s. I was working retail, surf shops and that sort of thing. And I only really got into cooking and hospitality through, that trip and coming back. My partner, who I began the food truck with, was a chef. But we'd always cooked together at home and that sort of thing. So I guess I was probably, his apprentice in some ways, but we sort of began this food truck out of one idea from two people. We both, I guess, brought different strengths to the, he had the cooking side and I sort of had the retail customer service side, and we sort of brought that together.
Well, the food truck culture isn't as strong here as it is in the States. So
that's right, yeah.
Was it well received straight away, or was it something that took a bit of time to get momentum?
Yeah, well, we kind of I guess we sort of hit it at the right time because when we began, Adelaide had sort of started this food truck culture. I mean, we'd always had people would talk about the Villies cart and that sort of thing in the city, but we'd never had a real sort of wave. And it was, that sort of American style food truck wave where they would all, park along the street and people would come in their masses. I guess it was sort of the first wave of that, and really, I think, started and pioneered by the Burger Theory guys. People just got extremely excited about what they were doing and their burgers because they were so delicious in this crazy, colourful truck, and no one had experienced anything like that before. And we were lucky enough to become one of the most popular food trucks around, and always had a really long line, as well as Burger Theory and Sneaky Pickle and those guys, at the food truck events. So,
do you collaborate with those guys? I mean, do they use your sauces on their barbecue, on their burgers or anything like that?
No, they don't.
Maybe they should.
Yeah, they should. I guess that's the area we're sort of looking at going into. We've just been so focused on growing every day, from the food truck and then now into the restaurant, and now sort of trying to take the sauces into a retail space, which is, what we're doing here at the trade show. We're very, very brand new at doing that stuff.
It's stepping stones, though, isn't it?
That's right, yeah, stepping stones.
And you strike me as somebody that's like listening, learning, talking to other producers.
Yeah, it's been good to speak to lots of other people here, exhibitors and buyers. I've just been sort of trying to get a glimpse of, what they're after, and are they, for example, supermarkets. The people have been telling me that, consumers are after barbecue sauces and barbecue rubs, and a lot of the supermarkets now are stocking, briskets and ribs and that sort of thing, which, 5 years ago, you couldn't walk into a supermarket and get a brisket to smoke, that sort of thing. So I have, I've been told that, and I have been asking them throughout this trade show if they're aware of that and if that's what's happening. And yeah, there's definitely a shift towards that.
So with your food truck, you're not running your food truck now? No,
the food truck is now deceased. We put it to rest.
You might resurrect it later down the track, maybe?
It could be. If it were to come back, it would be a completely new vessel. As the caravan is long gone now. We put it to rest probably, I don't really have a good scale of time, maybe 3 to 4 years ago. We sold it on. There was just, I think from our perspective, the focus on the restaurant was way too important, and we were having some, issues spreading our time between the food truck and the restaurant. The restaurant deserves our full focus.
And how many seats?
We're quite small. We can do about 36 people inside, and then we've got another 12 to 15 seats outside. So we're quite limited in our space, which is why we do sittings. So on the weekdays we do a 6 o'clock and then we do a 7:30 sitting. And on the weekend, like a Saturday night, we do a 5 o'clock, a 6:30 and an 8 o'clock. And it's basically just getting the tables turned over. And on a Saturday night, we'll do that 3 times, which is a lot of work, but very exciting.
So traveling down the South in the States, I mean, each barbecue is different, right?
That's right, yeah.
No two sauces are really the same, because when you go to, Louisiana or you go to Arkansas and you have these barbecues, are you looking for consistency, or are you just going with each batch has its own kind of personality and flavor?
I think if you're traveling through the southern states looking for consistency in barbecue sauce, you probably won't find it. it's, as you were saying, it's lots of different sources from different regions, and even people from the same region, they can't agree on a sauce. There's lots of different styles, whether it be like a vinegar, very sort of liquidy vinegar based sauce, or like the thicker, stickier style. Whether or not it's got black pepper, that sort of thing.
You don't put corn syrup in yours, do you?
No, we don't. No. So, and there's we've got a mustard style, which is you would probably find in more common around like Carolina, where they do it's all about the pork. And then we've got
We've got very good Australian pork here.
Yes, we do. Delicious. And then we do the tomato-based barbecue sauce is, sort of that Kansas sticky rib style. You find that in Texas as well.
Barbecue and smoking isn't great in American culture. And like you were saying, in Australia, we have a very strong barbecue culture, but not necessarily with the same depth or the same, it's different techniques altogether, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you're very right. It's over there, there's lots of influences that have gotten American style barbecue to where it is today, like the cowboys cooking their steaks over fire, and then there's like Caribbean influence where they're cooking in pits in the ground, and that sort of European German influence of the sausage and the mustard and that sort of thing.
Does that just put fire in your belly?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah?
It really does. It's one of those things where all these different people and cultures and stuff comes together and just creates something that's really amazing.
And so what's your ultimate goal?
Ultimate goal, I guess it depends when you ask me. Like if you asked me what our ultimate goal was when we were in the food truck, I'd say to open a barbecue restaurant and have that be sustainable and be successful. And I feel like we've been in Port Adelaide in the restaurant now for sort of 6.5 years. I feel like we've sort of done that. So I almost have achieved my goal, really. But now we've got new plans and new things, which is getting the retail sauce out there. That's very, very new for us. But I don't know. With the restaurant, I just like to make people happy. Like that sort of food just really...
It's comforting.
Yeah.
It's comforting. I mean, are you doing cold slaw and potato salad or cornbread? Are you doing cornbread?
Yep. Yeah.
You're a man after my heart.
We do a pretty good version of a cornbread, which is always baked like freshly before service, so it's really nice. Yeah.
When I first moved here, I started a company called The Condiment Connoisseur, and I created these seafood sauces using Australian tomatoes and mustard seed and horseradish and that sort of thing. And then I stopped importing, and I met an American chef who was from New York, and he had a restaurant in Sydney called Rattlesnake Grill. Mm-hmm. And he had fire roasted salsa, 2 chili jams, a margarita mix, and a barbecue sauce. Mm-hmm. And he was looking for a distributor, and I'm like, well, I don't know any distributors, but I think I'll set up a distribution company. So that's what I did. And so I actually sold his barbecue sauces and his product line and mine. And it's interesting when you're looking at products like that and going into the market. It's quite daunting because you're not sure which direction to go. But if you've got a product, like you've got your 2 products now, and I imagine you want to expand your line, right? The potential is endless.
Yeah.
I mean, the flavors that you've got in there are absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you're selling that not only the, ticking the box of being delicious, but you're also selling that South Australian Providence story.
Yeah, we think it's very important that the sauce has a tie to the restaurant. It's got a story behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many, right now you're sitting at 2 sauces, but then you've also got your rubs. The one that the one with the cracked black pepper in it.
Oh, yeah. They both have it, but was it the salt and pepper one, the really heavy one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's our brisket rub.
I love it.
Forms a nice crust on the beef. Delicious.
Where are you sourcing the salt?
Right now we're getting it through our just our dry goods supplier, John Lewis. It's Pyramid Australian Gourmet Salt.
You know, what's funny is salt isn't salt. You know, we've taken a lot of chefs to hand harvest salt in Victoria. We've taken them down to Whyalla in South Australia, to Olsen Salt. And salt isn't salt. And you've got to look at your, purpose for use.
That's it.
And once you nail it, and you've got, like in your case, you're saying it's got that perfect crust and it's, ticking all those boxes. I mean, that in itself takes a lot to get to that point.
Yeah, that's right. You can't just be any old salt. You wouldn't want it to be the same salt that you're, salting your potato water with, because that's a different thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For our listeners, where can they find your products, Low and Slow? I love the name too, by the way. It's very cool. And your logo's cool too. I'm sure there's a story behind it.
Oh, it's just a extremely bold yet playful little logo. There's lots of sort of things going on in there and a fair bit of movement. But it's become pretty recognizable, we think. So we're very happy with it.
Where can people find your product?
At the moment, it's for sale in store, in the restaurant, and on our website. But we're looking at...
Are you looking for a distributor?
Possibly. We're looking hopefully to get into Drakes and Foodland, which is very, very exciting. And that's why we're here at the trade show, because as I mentioned, we are so brand new. We need all the help we can get.
Well, if there's any distributors out there listening to this podcast, you definitely want to check out Angus and Low and Slow, because the flavors, the packaging, and the heart and soul is definitely there. And you've got quality ingredients. And, recipe for success, really. Now you just need to like you said, stepping stones.
That's right.
Get to the next level.
Yeah.
How has working with Food South Australia helped with that?
They've helped a lot. We had signed up to the National Trade Program, and I almost the amount of information was almost overwhelming, but it was very, very, very good. Darren and you guys have been really great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you. And
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for having me on.
I look forward to coming to the restaurant. And like I said, my mom was from Arkansas, and I've got Southern food like in my blood, and I just value and love it so much. So I'm really glad you're doing it here in South Australia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.